What if the deepest form of love isn't about finding someone, but about finally meeting yourself? We are handed a story from the moment we can understand words. It's woven into the fabric of our fairy tales, the plot of every romantic film, the gentle and sometimes not so gentle prompting from family and friends. When will you find someone? This narrative paints a singular destination, a life shared with a romantic partner, as the ultimate mark of success, the final crucial piece that makes the puzzle of a good life complete. It's presented not as a choice, but as a destination. But I want you to consider a radical possibility. What if that pervasive story is the very mechanism that keeps you from your greatest, most important discovery? What if the relentless, anxious pursuit of a partner is a beautifully socially sanctioned disguise for the most fundamental escape of all, the escape from the only person you are guaranteed to spend your entire life with? This conversation is not an attack on love, connection, or deep partnership. Those are beautiful, powerful aspects of the human experience. This is instead a clear-eyed investigation into a different kind of freedom. For over 2,000 years, Stoic philosophy has taught that true power, resilience, and unshakable peace are generated from within, cultivated through radical self-sufficiency and unwavering alignment with your own nature. Today, we will explore a path less celebrated, but immeasurably powerful: the deliberate, conscious, and often courageous choice of sovereignty. This is for anyone who has ever felt a quiet, persistent whisper beneath the noisy drone of societal expectation, a pull toward a life that is unmistakably, unapologetically, and uniquely their own. If you've sensed that whisper, even if you've tried to quiet it, this conversation is for you. Consider this your formal invitation to a different kind of courage. If you're ready to seriously explore what it means to build a life rooted not in someone else's presence, but in your own profound wholeness, then subscribe to Stoic Mindset Mastery. Consider it a commitment, a pact you make with the version of yourself that refuses to abandon its own soul for a pre-written, generic script. Let's begin by examining the common starting point. Most people do not enter romantic relationships from a place of overflowing fullness, from a solid foundation of self-knowledge and contentment. More often, they reach for another person from a place of quiet, sometimes unconscious, emptiness. The silence of being alone with oneself feels threatening, like a void that must be urgently filled, an echoing chamber where unattended thoughts, unresolved questions, and unexamined fears become deafeningly loud. In this context, a relationship isn't primarily chosen from a surplus of joy and a desire to share it. It is often grasped as a shield, a life raft against the perceived terror of one's own company. We rarely admit, even to ourselves, how much of what we collectively label romance or falling in love can be, at its root, a noble-looking form of emotional and psychological avoidance. It is simply easier, in the short term, to get lost in the compelling drama of a we than to sit patiently and do the honest, sometimes difficult work of the I. It feels more urgent to manage and soothe another person's volatile emotions than to master the landscape of our own. It is more immediately gratifying to chase the warm, borrowed validation of a partner's admiration than to undertake the disciplined project of building your own internal furnace of self-worth. This dynamic forms the bedrock of what we might call dependent love, and dependence, by its very nature, is fragile. It places the stability of your emotional world outside of your control. When love is born primarily from the fear of emptiness, every minor disagreement feels tectonic. Every moment of comfortable distance or independent thought is perceived as a threatening crack in the dam that holds back your own latent loneliness. The relationship itself is forced to carry an impossible, unfair weight. It must not only be a genuine connection between two individuals, but it must also simultaneously silence the personal insecurities, fears, and voids that each person brought to the altar. You gradually begin to negotiate away parts of yourself, your quirky passions, your ambitious dreams, your inconvenient but honest truths, not necessarily because your partner explicitly demands it, but because you fear that their departure would catapult you back into that silent, echoing room you've been running from your entire adult life. Let's be clear, this isn't love. This is a survival pact, a transaction where you trade pieces of your identity for perceived security. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private meditations that a man should not fear death, but he should fear never beginning to live. The quiet, widespread tragedy in our modern world is that countless people effectively stop truly living the moment they become terrified of losing someone. Their existence transforms into a careful, calculated performance. They engage in a constant, exhausting internal editing of their own spirit, toning down their enthusiasm, hiding their doubts, masking their true interests, all to maintain a bond that was, from the beginning, built on the shaky, unstable ground of mutual need rather than mutual admiration. Love, in its healthiest, most potent form, should be a liberation. It should make you stand taller, speak more clearly, and become more of your essential self. Not smaller, quieter, and more strategically disguised. But when the foundational motive is fear, love inevitably mutates into a contract of unspoken, often suffocating conditions. The internal monologue becomes, "Don't be too much. Don't change or grow in a direction I can't follow. Don't disturb our delicate, precarious balance, even if that very balance is slowly suffocating your spirit and stifling your potential." You may convince yourself that this self-suppression is simply the necessary price of belonging, of being loved. But it is a price paid with your most valuable and non-renewable currency, your authentic self. You are spending your essence to rent a sense of security. Now, let's confront the great, liberating irony. The very silence you are so desperately fleeing, the solitude, the quiet moments alone with your thoughts, is not your enemy. In truth, it is your most honest, reliable, and insightful teacher. Involuntary solitude, the constant noise of the world, its opinions, its demands, its endless chatter, finally fades, and you begin to hear the sound of your own voice again. This process is uncomfortable, even painful at first. You will hear your doubts, your regrets, your anxieties speak with unvarnished clarity. But if you have the courage to stay, to listen without immediately reaching for a distraction, you will also begin to hear other, deeper things. Your core values, your long-buried dreams, your unique perspective on the world. You cannot find yourself in the noise and reflection of another person. You can only lose yourself there. True self-discovery requires turning down the volume of the world so you can hear the whisper of your own soul. This understanding leads to the pivotal psychological shift. The fear underlying most relational anxiety is rarely at its core about losing the other person. More often it is about losing the distraction they provide. They are a compelling movie you put on to avoid staring at the blank screen of your own potential. When you remove that distraction, you are left, irrevocably, with yourself. And for many, that is the most frightening, naked encounter of all. But it is also the only encounter that leads to genuine, unconditional freedom. It is the doorway. Once you can sit in your own silence, in your own company, without a frantic need to escape it, a fundamental change occurs. You stop depending on others to manufacture your sense of completeness. You cease the exhausting bargaining of your identity in exchange for a fleeting sense of belonging. Your relationships, when you choose to have them, undergo a profound transformation. They shift from being needs to being conscious choices. And a love that is freely chosen, not desperately needed, is a love of an entirely different quality. It is resilient. It cannot be broken by circumstantial distance, temporary conflict, or the changing seasons of life, because it was built on the solid foundation of mutual freedom, not mutual fear. This brings us to the immense power of societal conditioning, a silent, pervasive force that shapes our lives, often without our conscious consent. It doesn't shout commands. It whispers assumptions through 1,000 cultural cues, advertisements, social media, well-meaning questions, and even the structure of our tax codes. Your worth, your normalcy, your success become subtly but insistently tied to your relationship status. Being single is culturally framed as a transitional phase, a waiting room you're supposed to hurry through on your way to the main event of coupled life. This invisible, powerful script pushes countless people into partnerships, not from a place of joyful readiness and clear self-knowledge, but from a deep-seated sense of dutiful obligation to a story they never consciously chose or authored. The long-term consequence of living by this script is a slow, often imperceptible tragedy. You may spend a lifetime trying to force yourself to fit into a mold designed for a generic someone, painstakingly sanding down your interesting edges and silencing your unique inner callings. In doing so, you voluntarily abandon the most profound and rewarding project of a human life: individuation, the process of becoming who you truly, uniquely are. You sacrifice this journey of self-creation on the altar of merging into a pre-approved, socially sanctioned we. This leads us to the most dangerous cost of dependent relationships: the slow, subtle disappearance of the self. This vanishing act doesn't happen in a single dramatic moment of betrayal or sacrifice. It occurs insidiously through 1,000 tiny daily surrenders that you rationalize as love. You skip the art class or the hiking trip because your partner doesn't understand the appeal. You soften your firmly held opinion during a dinner debate to avoid a later tension. You laugh less genuinely at the things that truly delight you because your humor isn't shared. You tell yourself this is just compromise, maturity, the practical work of love. But a critical, invisible line is crossed when healthy compromise becomes gradual erasure. You might look in the mirror one ordinary morning and see a familiar face, but realize the distinctive light behind the eyes. The specific energy and curiosity that was yours alone has noticeably dimmed. You have become largely a reflection of what you believe is acceptable and pleasing to others, rather than a vibrant expression of what is authentically true within you. Crucially, this disappearance doesn't even serve its intended purpose of strengthening bonds. It ultimately weakens them. A relationship built on two partial, edited selves is a fragile alliance, a business deal between representatives, not a deep, resilient union between whole souls. True, lasting connection requires the courage of showing up with your entire being, your strengths and your flaws, your convictions and your uncertainties, your sharp edges and your softness. As the Stoics understood through their principle of amor fati, the love of fate, friction and challenge are not the enemies of growth. They are its essential forge. A bond that cannot withstand the weight of your full authenticity is not a bond that can truly hold you, nourish you, or help you grow. It is a cage, however gilded. So if the path of dependence and slow disappearance leads to fragility, what is the alternative? It is the courageous, countercultural path of sovereignty. This is the conscious, deliberate decision to belong to yourself first and foremost. It is the mental reframing of the space of being single, not as a lonely absence, a lacking, but as a rare, fertile, and open field. It is in this open ground, free from the constant negotiation of shared space, that you can finally plant the unique seeds of your own identity, your interests, your values, your projects, without first needing to ask for permission or worry about how their growth might shade or disrupt someone else's garden. Within this space of chosen sovereignty, a profound emotional and psychological detox naturally begins to occur. For perhaps the first time as an adult, you gain the clarity to distinguish your emotions from the emotional weather patterns of a closely entwined partner. That low-grade background anxiety you've carried for years. It might not be inherently yours. It could be the lingering residue from a full-time job of constantly managing and stabilizing another person's inner turmoil. That sense of dampened joy, of muted excitement. It could be the result of a habitual, unconscious tempering of your own passions to better match the lower energy or different interests of a partner. Solitude, when embraced, allows your entire nervous system to reset, to find its own baseline. You stop perpetually bracing for the next emotional ripple emanating from across the room. Your inner climate becomes stable, readable, and entirely your own to manage. This newfound clarity is not a vacuum. It is the birthplace of genuine creativity and purposeful direction. Your mind, no longer perpetually pulled and bent in the direction of consensus, compromise, or constant companionship, is finally free to roam its own strange and wonderful paths. Ideas connect in novel, unexpected ways. Your own buried desires, long suppressed under the weight of "we should" and "they'd prefer," become sharp, clear, and undeniable. You discover a personal rhythm for work, for creation, for rest that is perfectly tuned to your own nature, not a negotiated compromise between two different tempos. This state is not loneliness. It is the beginning of a profound, ongoing conversation with the most complex, fascinating, and capable person you will ever know, yourself. Unsurprisingly, the world will often misunderstand and mislabel this conscious choice. It will hastily diagnose you as lonely, selfish, immature, or afraid of commitment. It is vital to recognize that these labels are not really about you. They are reflexes, projections of the discomfort your peaceful independence creates in a social and economic system that thrives on predictability, interdependence, and controllable narratives. A sovereign individual, someone whose happiness and validation are internally generated, is inherently harder to control, to manipulate with advertising, to keep within neat, marketable categories. Your quiet, contented freedom itself becomes a gentle but powerful rebellion against the script. However, this sovereignty, as with all things of great value, carries a real and tangible price. You pay it in the daily tangible comfort of seamlessly shared plans and inside jokes. You pay it in the easy, automatic physical affection that doesn't require lengthy explanation or negotiation. You pay it on some nights when the silence of your space feels heavy and vast, and the warmth of another breathing body seems like a tangible luxury. Most significantly, you pay it by accepting full, unshared responsibility for every outcome in your life. Every victory is entirely yours to claim, with no one to dilute its sweetness, and every failure is entirely yours to own and learn from, with no convenient partner to subtly blame. The weight of your existence rests solely and at times heavily on your own shoulders. Yet for those who choose it, the reward far outweighs the cost. The reward is a life that is authentically, irrevocably, and unmistakably yours. Every scar, every triumph, every piece of furniture, and every life decision carries the watermark of your own judgment and taste. From this unshakable place of inner wholeness, every connection you choose to initiate changes in its fundamental quality. You no longer scan the world seeking a partner to complete you as if you were a half-finished puzzle. Instead, you look for individuals who complement you, who add interesting colors and patterns to a canvas that is already rich and full. Love, in this context, transforms from a desperate plea shouted from an empty well into a generous gift offered freely from an overflowing cup. You gain the strength to walk away from situations, jobs, and even people that do not serve your highest good, not from a place of coldness or arrogance, but from a profound, non-negotiable respect for the one life you have been given and the sovereign self you have vowed never to abandon again. This is the Stoic ideal of autarkia, self-sufficiency, lived in its fullest, most vibrant expression. It is the bedrock understanding that your tranquility, your eudaimonia flourishing, must be an internally generated state, independent of the ever-changing landscape of external attachments, including romantic partners. The philosopher Epictetus, who began life as a slave, taught that freedom is the only worthy possession, precisely because it is the one thing no person and no circumstance can ever take from you once you have claimed it. That freedom is not found in a crowd. It is forged in the focused, clarifying fires of your own independence. Ultimately, this entire journey culminates in one liberating, powerful realization. You were never, ever incomplete. You were simply obscured by societal noise, by familial expectation, by the fearful, deeply human craving for another person's reflection to confirm that you are real, valuable, and worthy of love. The moment you patiently clear away that obscuring dust, you meet a self that is already whole, inherently capable, and deeply resilient. The most radical, profound act of love you may ever perform is to finally choose yourself as your primary, permanent, and most cherished home. This philosophy is not, and never should be, a blanket rejection of love or deep human connection. It is a necessary redefinition, a prioritizing of the source. It insists that real love must begin within. It is the conscious decision that your own company is not a consolation prize for those who failed to find a partner, but rather the essential, solid foundation upon which a truly magnificent and fulfilling life can be built. When you build from that foundation of self-possession, everything that follows, whether it is a lifetime of enriching solitude, a deep platonic fellowship, or a romantic partnership, is infinitely enriched. Why? Because it is no longer born from a place of lack, need, and fear, but from a place of conscious choice, abundant strength, and genuine freedom. If this philosophy of sovereign selfhood resonates with you, if you feel a stirring recognition, a tiredness with the exhausting chase for external validation, and a readiness to cultivate the unshakable peace that comes from inner authority, then your clear next step is this. Like this video right now, let that simple action be a signal, a small but meaningful commitment to yourself and to this community, that you are consciously choosing the path of self-mastery. And to ensure you have continued guidance, support, and insight as you navigate this transformative journey of building an unshakable mind and a self-directed life, make sure you are subscribed to Stoic Mindset Mastery. Remember, your life is not a supporting role in someone else's story. It is the main event. It is the only story you will ever fully live. Start living it with the unwavering conviction that you are and always have been the only home you will ever truly need.